Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. Every day we'll bring you the people, the places and the works that have shaped Poland's rich cultural heritage from the past and the present. We begin our cultural journey with one of Poland's most acclaimed and renowned figures, musical superstar, Frédéric Chopin, a phenomenal pianist and a highly acclaimed composer. Throughout our series on Chopin, we will show you the music that made him such a memorable figure, explain his distinctive musical approach, we'll explore his life outside of Poland and illustrate how his name and work and legacy continue to have a huge influence on his home country and beyond. Frédéric Francois Chopin was born on March 1st, 1810 in Żelazowa Wola, just west of the capital Warsaw. Chopin seemed destined to have a future entwined with music. His mother played the piano and sang, whilst his father played the flute and the violin. Subsequently, his initial contact with music came in his formative years. Welcome, Mr. Artur Goroniewski, historian and Chopin enthusiast. Thank you very much for joining me.
Good morning, John. It's a pleasure of mine to have this possibility to tell you about Polish history in context of Frédéric Chopin, or about Frédéric Chopin in context of cosmopolitan world that knew about him perfectly.
Fantastic. So I would like to start off by talking about Chopin's early years and specifically, who were Chopin's parents and what kind of family was he born into?
Frédéric Chopin was born in a country that's not Poland anymore. His parents, well, his mother is a Polish aristocrat. Justyna Krzyżanowska, she was connected with Skarbek family, where Nicolas Chopin was working as a native speaker. So 16 years old guy emigrates from France to Poland. He teaches French, children of Łęczyński family first, and then Skarbek family, their relatives. And this is where, in Żelazowa Wola, 64 kilometers away from Warsaw, Nicolas Chopin, immigrant from France, meets Justyna Krzyżanowska. They got married over there. The first child, Ludwika, born in 1807, and then Frédéric Chopin, born in 1810. So no one would expect at the beginning that he will become the father of our identity, the father of our culture, because the beginnings were very difficult. He was born in a moment when the tables have turned. No more people were emigrating to Poland, but soon they started to emigrate from Poland.
His parents, who were kind of musically minded, how did they influence the young Chopin?
The most important feature that was given to Frédéric Chopin by his father was this determination, it was this resilience. Of course, he was music connected, he was teaching also, he was providing also violin lessons in Skarbek family house, and Frédéric Chopin's mother started to teach him piano when he was 4 years old only. So yes, that was a musical environment, but that was an environment of art in general. And Frédéric Chopin's life was not only about piano. Of course, it was absolutely the main track of his life, but in these very little moments of his life, he was recognized as a good painter, as a poem writer, and as an amazing personality who could perform any kind of role as an actor you would give him as well.
Could you tell us a little bit about this kind of idea of Chopin as a child star? And, you know, he was writing and composing poetry aged 6. Could you kind of talk us through his evolution as he progressed musically throughout his childhood?
In one of letters wrote to him by his father when Frédéric Chopin was already in Paris, his father was saying, "It took you so short to learn all of this. 1 hour was enough. That would take some people a week to learn. Yes, first lessons took in Warsaw, provided by his mother at the age of 4. Then his first teacher, Wojciech Żywny, very soon said that he cannot teach Frédéric Chopin anything else. Yes, his first 2 masterpieces wrote at the age of 6. They were printed when he was 7, and when Frédéric Chopin was 8, he performed for the first time in the biggest palace in Poland over then, nowadays our presidential palace. And please try to imagine, you are a pro, you are considered to be an important figure of your profession. You are 30, you are 40, you are 50, and then someone tells you that you should come and hear 8-year-old boy. And this is what happened. In 1818, people from all over Warsaw are coming to a palace located next to our royal route, and they are supposed to listen to 8-year-old person. And after Frédéric Chopin finished, there was silence. Everyone just walked to Nicolas Chopin, congratulating him particularly. 8-year-old boy couldn't really understand whole situation, so when he came back home and his mother suffering tuberculosis, which was a reason why she couldn't participate in that concert, the first thing Justyna asks Frédéric was, okay, so how did it go? What people were feeling like? And then Frédéric replied, well, I think that everyone liked the Italian color you prepared for me.
And what is the Italian colour?
It's not a regular color of a shirt that we are wearing nowadays. The edges of Italian color are a little bit longer and sharper. They can be seen on first Frédéric Chopin paintings as well when he was a child. He just appreciated the clothing that his mama prepared for his first concert.
Now, could we talk a little bit about his kind of move to Warsaw and when this happened and kind of how it transpired that he moved to the Polish capital?
Take this situation under consideration. You are working as a native speaker, you are working for someone, you meet over there a lady, you stay in territory of theirs property. The first child is born over there, the second child is born over there, and the third child is on the way. This is when you make a decision, I'm going to Warsaw. Now I will look for a better job. First they moved next to Krakowskie Przedmieście Street, which is nothing but section of our nowadays royal route. Soon they moved to Saxon Palace, where Nicolas Chopin was given a very important job. He was a teacher, he was a professor in a high school, Lyceum of Warsaw. And this is how he provided his son possibilities to continue his education, to develop in refined circles. And Frédéric Chopin was 7 months baby when it happened.
Could you talk to us a little bit about his education in Warsaw?
Yes, so mentioned high school was his education place. Frédéric Chopin continued his education in Warsaw in a music school. And Frédéric Chopin started to be appreciated as a pianist at the very young age. Another example provided by his father, he refused to take any money for these concerts of this young boy. He just said, take care of safety of my son on the way there and on the way back. Eventually, as a teenager, Frédéric Chopin would reach these places on his own. He would be invited to a beautiful villa, mansion or a palace, and he would talk to the lady who invited him, her husband and their guests who were sitting just like this at the moment as we are having our conversation. And then at some point of this conversation, Frédéric Chopin would just turn to piano and start performing spontaneously, like summarizing what was said during their conversation. So imagine in nowadays world, people having Facebook, Instagram, they would die to record these few moments that never occurred before and will never occur later, because in these days, we, people, human beings, couldn't record the sounds. And that's another romantic thing about this romantic period and the romantic personality of Frédéric Chopin, that we will never hear him playing. Whenever we listen to Frédéric Chopin now, we just listen to another pianist who performed Chopin, but performing Chopin is like speaking English. Everyone does it in a different way. Everyone has another vocabulary, pronunciation, accent. Same when it comes to Frédéric Chopin performance. There are no two people who did it in the same way.
Could you tell us why, though, that we have here in Warsaw Chopin's heart?
He knew that tuberculosis might be a reason of his death. He was watching his mother suffering tuberculosis all his life. His youngest sister, Emilia, died because of tuberculosis at the age of 14. He knew he's suffering tuberculosis, and he wanted his body to be buried in Poland. He wanted his body to be buried in Warsaw, just as his sisters, just as his parents are buried in Warsaw. Then Tsar of Russia wouldn't agree on such situation. So Frédéric Chopin wrote a letter to his older sister, Ludwika. "Come around, visit me before I die," he writes. So she came to Paris, and then he had a plan. He wanted his heart to be transported back to Warsaw. He quoted a famous statement from Saint Matthias' New Testament, "Where your treasure is, there your heart should be." So literally his heart was cut off his body, put in a jar, poured with French Bourbon, put in a steel tomb, and transported back to Warsaw by Ludwika, first located in Czapski Palace, where Frédéric Chopin lived before he emigrated. Then the heart was buried in the column of the Holy Cross Church. It's almost 100% sure that till nowadays in Warsaw, next to the Royal Route, in the Holy Cross Church, Frédéric Chopin's heart is buried.